Riga. It's Sunday afternoon here, getting into early evening. We have some beautiful sunshine, but it is a bit chilly. That's why I've actually got my winter parka back out. Got my Latvian top on. Actually, Latvia are playing currently in the ice hockey against Canada, and when I left it, they were getting their asses whooped, basically. Unfortunately for the Latvians, but the Canucks are pretty strong in the ice hockey. And in today's live stream, I'm going to discuss a little bit about personal branding, just very basic primer overview, and discuss the value of Instagram. And on top of that, I will recount a little bit about the last week since I did my live stream in Lviv in Ukraine. I have come to Riga, and I've been here with a client. We were in Vilnius on Friday night, and then last night here in Riga. And there is the opportunity to go to Tallinn next week as well. So I'm going to be giving a little bit of an overview on those different points. Drop your comments and questions down below. It's unusual that I do these live streams the day after I've been partying with one of my clients, but I'm pretty well recovered. I spent basically most of the afternoon sleeping it off, but it was pretty phenomenal. So I'm excited to tell you what it's like as we come up to the summer season. And if you're new to this channel, hello, my name is Connor Klein, and I help high-volume men with living their dream lifestyles here in a region that I've dubbed New Europe. So they're the countries between Germany and Russia. So places like here in the three Baltic States, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Poland, Moldova, Romania, Czechia, Ukraine, although we have obviously the Russo-Ukrainian war, which limits having a dream lifestyle very clearly at the moment. And also in Kazakhstan, off the steppes of Central Asia, which is quite an exciting place as well. So I dub New Europe your elite path to freedom. I just think that this region, especially in Europe, offers high-value men an exceptional set of opportunities and lifestyle. And you can obviously get certain parts of that at a higher price point in other parts of the world. You can hang out in Miami, you can hang out in Dubai, but I think this is a better location overall. And today's structure, I will give a presentation of a few minutes about the personal branding and Instagram, what I see with my clients, how I help them. And you can write your questions. Let me know if this is something that you are particularly interested in. The genesis for me discussing it, I was reminded by watching another YouTube video. Quite often I come across guys who are, we'll say, veterans of this region. A lot of them were maybe hanging out in Ukraine many years ago, Russia, Belarus, before we had this geopolitical change. And maybe because they're, probably older than me in general, so they're maybe, they've been hanging around the region for 20 years, and maybe now they're in their 50s. A lot of them don't appreciate the importance of personal branding and social media, and in particular Instagram. They tend to complain about it and wax lyrical about the good old days when there was no distraction from Instagram, whilst I would see it more as an opportunity, and it is something that I emphasize with my clients. Some of them don't want to have an open Instagram because they're worried about security. I'll also briefly comment on that as well. However, like the client I was here with for the last few days, not just here but also in Vilnius, he has quite a simple Instagram that displays his value, and it definitely helps when he meets people here. If it's some cool guys, a business connection, a Latvian model, like there were plenty of them yesterday when we were out partying. So that is the value, and it's not, I've seen other content creators who provide services, and I think they overdo things and they make the Instagrams very unauthentic, and I think that's actually a weakness, but a lot of guys don't understand how it works. So I'm going to give a brief overview on that. First of all, I'll just describe what I've been doing for last week. I had a live stream from Lviv about the value of fitness. There's kind of a good discussion, I thought, in the comments about that. Ironically, I have not actually been in the gym since, because this is one of the issues when you travel around a lot. Well, I guess I do travel around a lot, but I try to stay. I was in Lviv for 2.5 weeks, so it was a little bit easier, but I had, taken to the gym for a week subscription, and then that was over, and yeah, figuring out a new gym to go to. I just didn't get around to it. I went for a couple of runs through the beautiful city of Lviv instead, quite intense ones. And then I traveled to Warsaw and actually just was there for a few hours, but ironically made a good few connections. Social media and the personal branding actually helped with that. And then went up to Vilnius, and with the amount of traveling, yeah, I couldn't fit in actually hitting the gym, just went for some cardio running around. But either tonight, because the gyms are open 24/7, some of them, or tomorrow I'm gonna kick it off again. So the 3 Baltic states, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, they don't get much coverage here on YouTube, especially aiming at high-level men, or just probably men in general, who want to relocate, or women also who want to relocate to this region. There isn't so much content. Poland in this region gets nearly all the coverage. I see it, recently. Some of it not really, in my opinion, reflective of what it's like to live in Poland. These countries don't have a huge city, so there's no Warsaw, and definitely there's a big difference in feeling. When I was in Warsaw on, I guess it was Wednesday morning. Was it Wednesday? Yeah, it was Wednesday morning, yeah. And here in Riga, this is the biggest city, so I mean, there's a little bit of debate. I had a video, 5 reasons to go to Lithuania. A lot of Lithuanians wrote in the comments that Vilnius is actually bigger than Riga. That's definitely, it doesn't feel like that at all. And Riga, depending how you count it, is like maybe up to 1 million people in the metropolitan area, but maybe about 800,000. It's a better way to describe it. And it definitely feels a lot bigger than Vilnius, which is probably about 600,000 people as a city. So not, if you're looking for a big metropolis, then you probably want to go to somewhere like Warsaw or Kyiv or Bucharest, maybe Prague at a stretch. And the cities like Vilnius and Riga may be a little bit too small for you. Vilnius, we hit it up on Friday night. We're out with also a local friend, a haughty blonde, that we went out. I'm not a huge fan of the nightlife in Vilnius. I think compared to Riga and Tallinn, it's pretty weak. And yeah, because the way they have it zoned. So been there a few times with clients. I think for lifestyle during the day, and especially if you're a guy in a relationship, it can be very attractive, especially with obviously a local lovely of Lithuania. However, for the partying side of things, yeah, it's a little bit underwhelming compared to here in Riga. It was just like contrast with last night. But anyways, we went out, hit up my favorite spots in Vilnius, and then came here to Riga. And last night was pretty phenomenal, I have to say. I think there have been a big concerts. A lot of the most beautiful women in the city of Riga came to party at the club where we were, where they have a no tourist policy. So you need to be with an insider or figure it out yourself how you're going to get in, learn Latvian, or at the very least learn Russian to pass as a local. We had our table there, and yeah, it was pretty phenomenal. Some of the most beautiful of the city were there. So we partied extremely hard until, yeah, I think about 6 a.m. basically. And then that's why I slept a good bit of the day. So definitely in terms of if you like to go out and socialize and party with some of the most beautiful women in the world, then this is a city that is very attractive. As I like to say in these videos, neighboring Estonia has the highest number of models per population in the world. Latvia is actually number 5, and Lithuania is number 3. So basically, people tend to be tall here. They're some of the tallest people in the world, and that obviously results in the huge number of women who work in the modeling industry. As I did a live stream about a month ago, I was at Riga Fashion Week, and yeah, it's also very high instance of blonde hair. Naturally, a lot less in Lithuania, but as you go to Estonia and even across the Gulf of Finland into Finland and Sweden, you have the highest instance of blonde hair in the world. So if you are into leggy blondes, as I like to say, then Riga is one of the best places in the world. Also is Tallinn. And next week will be the start of summer season in Tallinn in Estonia. Because it's a little bit further north, they tend to have very long days during the summer. It's the opposite from the winter, which doesn't make it so attractive in the winter when you don't see the daylight, but in the summer it's going to be pretty phenomenal. And since my client will actually leave tomorrow, he's not able to stay on. If you're interested in Tallinn next weekend, then down below in the description of the video is my application form for your experience, where we will, depending on the client's needs, obviously go out and party hard with the beautiful blondes of Estonia. And most of my clients are also interested in business networking, investing, so we'll curate a program based on that, and also work a little bit on your personal branding, which is the topic that I will get into in a couple of minutes in this live stream. So basically we'll get some, I'll do an audit of your Instagram and get some content for it and set you up with a plan to generate some more. You don't need very much actually there, and then as long as it's reflective, authentic, and presents you in a good way, then it is a great calling card to have. So down below is the application form. And I was thinking actually a little bit, like last night was so off the charts in terms of the amount of beauty and the partying and the kind of craziness and the connections, that it's kind of hard to document for me, because I'm not going to get someone to walk around with a secret camera, secret film people at private establishments. That's too creepy. So it's kind of hard to capture. One of the girls who was at my table, she sent me a few photos and stuff like that. But yeah, it kind of made me think, yeah, in terms of content, it's kind of a little bit of a pity. And yeah, it's just a lot easier to get that kind of content in other ways, like if it's a private event, stuff like that. So I will probably, I've had this idea to organize a special event here in the Baltics, probably later this summer. It will be for alumni only. So if you are an alumnus of my in-person experience, it used to be called the ZAR experience, now it's rebranded as New Europe experience, then shoot me an email and we will discuss it and have a special program. So I think that's Jack, right? Happy Mother's Day. He's relocating to Kyiv in December. Great, we'll get to that when I outline my presentation. So yeah, a phenomenal place. I love it here. I think if you are a single high value guy, the appropriate term being high value, because if you're not high value, then yeah, women are not desperate here. So they have lots of options. They obviously socioeconomic, it's obviously not as thriving as Western Europe or North America, but it's not, people are not destitute in general here. It's not like the 1990s where they want to flee. It doesn't have so much tourism. It's not overrun, and yeah, it's just a pretty. Every time we come here, it's just like, pretty crazy, and yeah, what else to say? It's just like full of beautiful women and partying, and also met a couple of cool guys as well that I'm going to stay in contact with, was partying with. A little bit the minor celebrities here in Riga were also out last night. And again, the personal branding helps with maintaining those connections for me. Anyways, all that good stuff is down below. In general, during the summer, I'm probably going to be focusing, I guess, on the Baltics and Tallinn, Riga, and to a certain extent Vilnius, although, as I've said, I don't recommend it as much for nightlife. So it's a little bit more specific for the type of clients who want to go there. This client, he loves it. And but I told him that probably in general it's where we should hang out during the week, not at the weekend. It's definitely better here in Riga. So down below is the application form. It's by application only because I screen all my clients. You have to be a good fit for what I'm offering. It's not for everybody who just wants to pay and come. And there is also a special offer, even if I don't think we're a good fit. So it's worth your while filling out the application form if you've never done so. And if you previously filled it out and or you're alumnus, then write me an email, connor@connorklein.com, either for the alumni event, or you want to come sometime this summer. And this particular Tallinn next week is going to be off the charts. So personal branding, as I said, the genesis for discussing this is being reminded by what I refer to as veterans of this region. Usually these are guys who came when they were probably in their 30s and 40s, and maybe it was 20 years ago, so they're at least my age, if not older. And a lot of them, they complain about Instagram. They talk about, well, no one goes out to nightclubs anymore, and there is less business for clubbing and bars in some parts of the world. I think it's a big thing in the UK that a lot of them are closing down. However, where I was out last night, I don't know if it's ever been better. Just you need to know where to go and have that access and have the crew with you and the good vibes, right? This is so it doesn't make much sense to me to make that complaint. I think they just don't know where to hang out. But the overall point is that they dismiss social media. They don't see it as an opportunity. They see it as something that distracts and takes away from people interacting. And society changes, of course, constantly. And in the last 5-10 years, people spend so much more time in their phones. And basically, Instagram is probably the most popular app, social media app at the moment. Of course, we have Facebook, maybe 10 years ago was, and maybe TikTok is going to take over, though it's a bit different on TikTok. It's more entertainment than displaying lifestyle. But Instagram is the platform where displaying your lifestyle is the easiest, and it is also the most popular, in particular with women. So if they have got their if Instagram is where they have their attention half the day, then you want to have some sort of presence there, obviously, to be able to display your value and your lifestyle in general. And also then with networking with guys, especially for, whether it's socializing to make friends or for business, then you want to be able to display that also in your social media when you meet people, because then it will obviously reinforce and remind them as to why they should be interested in spending time with you. I mean, the example last night is actually connected with, there's a couple of guys here, and Instagram is just a great calling card or CV, business card almost, to be able to connect with, and then they can see the value there, and also I can see their value as well to a certain extent. So, in general, personal branding, it's just pretty easy. The kind of old school way of, old school way, I guess if we're talking about purely business, people also use their LinkedIn. But if we're going to make it you can, the personal branding, then something like Instagram, where you're obviously displaying more of a candid view also into your lifestyle. This is something that you can also utilize, and in particular on the dating side, it is a game changer, I would say. The old kind of school idea of just exchanging phone numbers. A phone number doesn't tell you any more information about the girl. I mean, do you want to know if she's been flown out to Dubai, Miami, and this is the typical thing, especially back in the day when we were talking about Ukrainians, no discernible means of income, but suddenly photos with, of them on their own. Never the photographer; he's never included, or the sponsor of the trip. And she's been in Dubai, Miami, and I don't know, Moscow in the last 3 months, Bali, and maybe where else, the Maldives in the last month alone. But what is going on there? This is all important information to know. And so you can tell a lot from how people have branded themselves. I would always say that you need to just have at least 12-15 pieces of content, whether it's a photo or a video clip, that's there on your profile, and that displays your value, is authentic. And so we'll take, because a lot of these content creators, as I say, that sell services, they want you to try to pretend to be someone you're not in general, and create all these very elaborate kind of content that isn't going to be reflective of who you are, because it's supposed to impress either other guys or women. And in general, I don't recommend that. I think it's overblown. I've taken my clients' Instagrams, and I get a lot of maybe 5 to 10 normally Ukrainian models, but I guess I'm going to defer as I spend less and less time in Ukraine and more in these other countries. I guess we could say it's like models from the region at this point, and I get their reactions. And in general, the kind of very ostentatious stuff doesn't perform very well. It's seen as a bit try-hard, a bit needy, a bit fake. And actually, whilst I recommend you get like high-quality photos, it's actually more about the situation around them that displays that you have friends, that you have business you're working on, that you are a leader, all these different attributes that are attractive as a man to other men and also to women, and that it just reflects that in general. And then what is really important is like the clips that you put in the stories that are there, that is, it's very candid. It's kind of a little bit of a voyeur opportunity, voyeuristic opportunity to see into your lifestyle, what you're doing, who you're hanging out with, and places like that. And that's actually what then will help reinforce. And you can also interact on those bases, right? So you comment on other people's stories, you provide value by commenting. Maybe it's a guy you're trying to connect with on business, or you just want to hang out with, or it's one of the lovely ladies, then you can do that rather than just having someone's phone number and writing a very kind of staid message, cold message. It's just not very interactive, and it is really a game changer, as I said, once you're able to utilize social media like Instagram and build those connections. So that is, should I say much more about it in terms of personal branding? You are a personal brand. You're selling yourself, whether it's to connect with other guys and build a social network, doing business or dating. It's all about selling yourself. People maybe don't want to see it that way, but it is what it is to a certain extent. And nowadays we have the opportunity to curate and frame our own personal branding. And just think of it like a CV, a dating CV. That's the way I would call Instagram, or a socializing CV. And of course, you don't want to, like if you're going for a job and you're doing up your CV, you shouldn't be lying on it. But you want to frame things so that it makes you come across to show your strengths, and doesn't display your weaknesses. And that's basically the same concept. So keep your comments coming and your questions, whether this is of interest to you, especially the fact that I also help clients with not just auditing their Instagram, but also in the content creation. I don't think you actually need very much of it. However, if a lot of other or many other content creators are selling services like to film everything on like 4 or 5 days when they come and try to get lots of content. It's a bit debatable. I think you should be generating the content over like a few months, and you should get it in different places in different situations, but that's best done with an audit, I find. Of course, I will get some of the content, get some high quality photos. I'm gonna have my own camera and take those, but it's more about getting the candid clips, I find, on these trips than necessarily creating an entire profile. Although if you are interested in that, then it is something that we can discuss, and I will also think about ways that I can maybe structure such a service. So let me know if you find that appealing. Also keep letting me know if you've liked the idea of coming to the Baltics. I'm interested, since it isn't sold so heavily here on YouTube compared to Poland, what you think. Should I be filming more in Poland? I did ask that question last week and I think the week before, and the feedback was that there are some of you guys that are interested in the lump sum tax option in Poland, and there seems to be enough interest for me to definitely do some more videos. I'll probably do a video back down in Warsaw. Actually, I use my Instagram to reach out to another YouTuber that I want to collaborate with there. So there you go. It's like a CV. Of course, I obviously have this YouTube channel. That's where the value is. But I can use my Instagram. It's already there. So there you see, for business and for connecting, it is very powerful. And yeah, that's basically the bottom line. You need to, I recommend that you use Instagram. I do have some clients who are public figures and they don't want to have that exposure and that risk, and that's understandable. I think outside of that, most of my clients are pretty solid Instagrams nowadays. And again, it's not something that needs to be super elaborate. Just need to have, as I said, 4 or 5 different types of content on display. Those attributes like leadership, that you have business going on, that you have a cool lifestyle, interesting, exciting. Even if it's not, I guess you can frame it in a way that's like, because I have one friend, he's not a client, but like he does a lot of running, and he's kind of like a bit geeky about it. And so is that going to attract like a lot of people, or a lot of people going to be interested in that? Maybe not. But the kind of people that he wants to attract realistically need to be into that kind of stuff, because it's one of his big passions. So even by just displaying that in general, it's going to help. It helps him with connecting with those kind of people. So we discussed it, how he should frame it so that it looks good and appeals to those kind of people. So yeah, the power of personal branding, it's pretty revolutionary compared to before, where especially if you arrive in a new city and you're meeting lots of new people. It just allows you to frame and solidify the connections you make. You can also reach out like cold, I guess, like I did for this business connection using my Instagram. And but in general, I think it's obviously if you have very clearly communicated value, which is what I have on my Instagram for that kind of stuff. Also for getting invited to events, because obviously I have value that I can offer in terms of this platform, in particular in YouTube. And overall, I think that it's something that when you come to a new city like Riga and you meet people, then you can just really solidify your personality and your branding and your value straight away with just a well-curated Instagram. Again, it doesn't need to be super elaborate. Let me know your thoughts, if you've used it, what kind of content you put there, what you think you found was useful for you. And yeah, it seems to be something that's overlooked a lot, whether people are talking about. I guess from the business side, people do talk about obviously social media. I don't think it's maybe a secret there. I think it's more on the socializing part and on the dating part that it's completely overlooked. I don't recommend dating apps, Tinder. I'm not saying you can't meet anyone there. Obviously, I did the interview with Yelena, the matchmaker, last week, and go and look at that on my channel. The big thing that came out of that, so many guys still ask me about, is a big age gap possible in a relationship in this region? And my simple short answer to that is it's really about a value gap. I mean, if you are Leonardo DiCaprio, I don't think any of the 20-year-old models really care about the 30-year age gap there. But if you are obviously slovenly and obese and borderline destitute and have a terrible personality, then yeah, it's probably going to be hard to have any sort of age gap. So that is maybe I will have to make, or I will make a live stream to deal with this topic, since I get asked almost in every live stream that question. And I have some videos from a few years ago, if you look back on the channel, where I go into that in more detail. So anything else that I should say about the personal branding? No, it's quite simple. It will help you immensely once you just have the basic structure set up in Instagram in terms of connections. You can obviously reach out and have cool stuff. That was the other thing I want to mention, because a lot of some of the other, I watched one content creator, one YouTuber, when he's saying that he was basically using his Instagram to meet lots of women online on Instagram. I think that's kind of difficult. Like, he was outsourcing a lot of it. It's like a huge amount of time. I would say that if you just are hanging out in the city, living, like say here in Riga, or spending a lot of time going to places where people socialize and to events, it's just a lot easier than kind of cold calling people all the time. It's very time intensive, and it's going to be very low probability, especially when he was talking about dating. So especially for dating the 9s and 10s, the uber beautiful, all the models and stuff, like they're probably not going to respond to like someone cold calling them. I can't imagine it's going to work very often, and it's just a lot simpler to meet them in person and have an Instagram that's going to solidify your connection. So let me go to your comments and your questions here. Jack says, happy Sunday Mother's Day. And yeah, you said you're going to Kyiv in December. Great. Instagram is your business card and a personal brand and dating app. I built Instagram theme pages, just starting his own personal brand there. I have mentors, WhatsApp also. Awesome. That's something that we can discuss. Jack, also your move to Kyiv, if you need any help with that, we should discuss it. I'm not sure if you are also interested. Have you applied for the New York experience? I don't recall. I know that we've chatted many times. Again, the application form is down below. Luke says he's more interested in Baltics than Poland, but Poland and Moldova are pretty equal for me. Probably Moldova more. Okay, good to know. Maybe because I don't talk so much about Poland, there's a bit of a bias there. I'm not the person who people are looking to relocate to Poland watch so much. I have a few videos. They didn't perform particularly badly or particularly well. The Moldova videos get a lot of views, so it's kind of a bit confusing in that sense, because the demand for moving to Moldova is definitely nothing like the demand to move to Poland. Monty says he's 27, he speaks decent Ukrainian. So then she's got a love for me. Okay, always good if you speak the local language. That will be my video next week, Connor's Law. about learning local languages. I don't speak Latvian, Lithuanian, or Estonian. I am learning Polish at the moment, and I speak Ukrainian and Russian and Romanian. So for those other countries like Moldova or Kazakhstan, then I have at least one of the official languages in Kazakhstan's case covered. Luke says that he's mostly a fitness bodybuilding enthusiast and he's very big into building his content. No, I don't get out much and have trusted friends, so no photos in groups. Okay. Monty asked me if I run into a lot of Americans in Ukraine. Americans per se, there was one, yeah, I'm bumped into one when I was there actually leaving the morning I left, so I guess it was a Wednesday morning I left Ukraine. Or was it Tuesday at this point? I'm kind of forgetting. I think it was Wednesday. There were a surprising number of foreigners in Lviv. Well, in Lviv, it's the first city that when you come across the border, so I think it's the one that probably attracts the most. And it is a lot safer than being in Odessa or in Kyiv, so it seems to attract, a good number of foreigners. I wouldn't say that they're necessarily American. I met Canadians, I met Germans, I met French, I met Italians. So yeah, lots of different nationalities from Western Europe and North America. Also, there are a good few Colombians. Luke asked me, Poland is so westernized. I think, well, it is the West. I know that if you're over in the west of the West, in the US or in Canada, then you tend to think that, okay, the West is North America. But if we're talking about the collective West, then it's, Poland is part of it. And Ukraine wants to be part of it. That's why we have this war, the Russo-Ukrainian war. But maybe you mean that it's more like America. Maybe you could clarify, Luke. I don't really think it is, but it's clearly European and modern, and that is the thing. I mean, the main difference, to simplify it, is you don't have maybe some of the woke madness in places like Poland or Ukraine, or not to the same extent as you would find in, say, the core Anglosphere, like parts of the US or the UK. Other things like obesity in young people is pretty non-existent. That is changing. So if we say that's being westernized, I don't really think that's a good term, because there are lots of parts of the world that are not in the West where people are even more overweight, like in the Middle East, in large parts of it. And that is a big difference between 20 and 35, especially women. There is very little overweightness and obesity, whilst unfortunately in the US and in the UK and even in my homeland Ireland, it's a bit of I would say even a crisis. It's just like so unhealthy. But when people get over 40, it actually switches. There's a lot of overweightness in many of these countries. Once people turn middle-aged, I guess. So when they're young, they're slim and sporty and focused on their appearance, and maybe when they're in their 40s, they're not so much. So it kind of flips, and that doesn't come out in the stats. Another thing to also say, because I mentioned on a previous live stream, the cities in Europe with the highest ratio of female to male between 20 and 35 is, well, actually the first one is London. So all those people complain from the dating side as a guy about London. Well, the ratio is definitely in your favor. So if you go there. But number 2 is Riga. Yes, in terms of women to men between 20 and 35, this is the second city in terms of the ratio in Europe. So yeah, on top of it, number 5 as a country in terms of models per population. What more do I have to say? I mean, this is where it's all at, and it's similar in Vilnius and in Tallinn. So I didn't have stats on Tallinn, so I couldn't say 100%, but it doesn't seem that different to me. So this is also probably part of the reason why I found it so attractive with my clients, who are nearly always single guys when they start off as my client. That normally doesn't stay the case. And especially with a lot of the guys I'm helping still with Ukraine in terms of residencies and buying real estate, they tend to be married to Ukrainians or have a long-term girlfriend or something like that, which is one of the reasons they go there. But yeah, this is what makes it pretty phenomenal here. And the other things are obviously value for money. It's just a different price point. It's not super cheap. It's not a Passport Pro destination. And but the value obviously, because it's not as economically developed, so prices tend to be a bit lower than equivalent cities, say in Italy or Switzerland or in the United Kingdom or something like that. So your money goes further, and for most people that's pretty appealing. And yeah, I mean, I think this is just a region with a lot of opportunity. We have geopolitical risk. I had another live stream about that, and that's priced into the real estate market here in Latvia for sure. Latvia, I have another video. It should be down below in the description. If not, it's maybe from 4 months ago, about investing to get residency here. If you invest in real estate, more than 250,000 euros, then you can get residency in Latvia. It's part of the Schengen area, so the common travel area. And you can also have a pathway to citizenship. They do allow dual nationality here in Latvia, unlike in some of the other countries that they neighbor. But it's a long process. It takes about 10 years. It's actually take about 11 in total. But there is that pathway, at least that option, so you can get your Schengen visa. So go look at that video. Just remember that that's a primary video. You need to reach out and contact me and either have a consulting call. There's a link to that down below. If you want to go into the more minutia of figuring out your particular situation. So you will need to have some sort of income that you can prove that you're having, so you're not going to be dependent on the Latvian state after you buy your apartment, and some other things that you're going to need to know about. Yeah, it's also limited to certain cities, but I don't think anyone who's going to be investing for it is not going to buy it there. Most likely you can't go out to some obscure village and buy it. Spend your 250,000. It's going to be in Riga, and it's all laid out in the law where you can invest. But I think for anyone that I've dealt with, they were basically going to buy it in Riga anyway, so it won't make any difference. But there are those details, so go check out that video. And my email is connor@connorklein.com. It's also down below in the description, and we can chat about it if you so desire. Also, the consulting link to my consulting services is down there. Let me just go and look at your next questions. Luke says that he's only been to Ukraine, Russia, Belarus, and Bulgaria. Never been to Poland, but I was thinking about something different from the US. And yes, the obesity problem, 100%. David says it's very woke in Canada, sadly. Merci, Justin. I guess Justin Trudeau is no longer the Prime Minister. Mr. Carney, have you noticed? Monty asked me if I've noticed the ratio in Riga when we got out and socialized, like yesterday, was off the charts. Really, and I may have filmed a little bit on my phone, but to be frank, it's kind of difficult when I'm there with a client, we're having a ball, and then to be trying to film everything at the same time kind of makes it a little bit hard. I think I'll maybe just have one of the girls film it anymore, even if it's on their phone, at least get some of the content. I think that would be a good thing. Since, anyways, this chick sent me some photos this morning. Wokeness of America. Jack says that been riding his, I think you mean your motorbike. I'm listening to Cannes International Film Festival. Leave tonight from Atlanta. All right, sounds phenomenal. Landing in Nice, France tomorrow. Our film Mademoiselle Sin has its European premiere. Okay, pretty awesome. Cannes Film Festival. I've actually not been to the Cannes Film Festival. No, never have. Been to Cannes. Been to other film festivals, particularly the Odessa International Film Festival, which unfortunately, for obvious reasons, we don't get to go and enjoy. But I had a phenomenal opening night, especially at the part at the Odessa Opera House. This big social event in Odessa that I was invited to a couple of times. So have that in the summer vlog from 2021, and from Odessa, where we're decked out in our black tie. So any questions or points on personal branding, let me know if you find this topic interesting. Is it something that you want to work with me on as well? Just drop a comment if you're watching this on replay, or send me a message, connor@connorklein.com, or you can go look at my Instagram. It's also got a link to that down below, and shoot me a message there. and we will discuss it. But it is something that I help my clients with when they have the in-person immersion with me, the New York experience. As I said, some of them, a couple of clients, because I also have that video about my millionaire clients, and some of them, yeah, they don't want to have any social media because they see it as a potential risk. But yeah, they're kind of the exception to the rule. I think about 80% of my clients have Instagram, and maybe half of them have a terrible Instagram when they come to me, and we need to correct it and work on it, and yeah, get it looking good in terms of framing how they want to be perceived. And again, it should be authentic. A lot of people write to me, I've had clients come and say, show me clips that, oh, this guy did this, and it's all very elaborate, but I'm like, it looks so try hard and so fake. It's not going to impress. Maybe it will impress some guys. I don't know. It's a bit like the discussion about big muscles, right? It tends to, if once they get too big, a lot of girls don't find it as attractive, with some obviously exceptions, like girls who are gym rats, work out a lot, right? So it's a bit like that as well in terms of understanding how to put it together. And yeah, it's something that takes a little bit of time to get right, but once you have it there, it's really like you're good to go. And yeah, my client who's with me, he has a profession that's high status, so that it's clear from his profile. He travels to a certain extent. He hangs out in this region a lot, so we have it tailored to that. And yeah, displays for some of the other places he goes to and some of the other exciting things he does. But yeah, it's not, you don't have to, I don't think you need to be renting, yachts just to film on them in general, just to try and claim that this is your lifestyle if it's not your lifestyle, which I've seen other people do, and other people sell that kind of idea of service, try to pretend there's something they're not. But that's not going to really, it's not going to be compatible with the person that you're going to be able to connect with. So it's going to be incongruent. That was the word I was looking for, congruency. So if you have some crazy Instagram that doesn't really project authentically who you are, and the same, just think of like a CV. You want to lie about everything, but you'd obviously want to frame it correctly to present yourself well. But if you exaggerate and make the whole thing up, then it's incongruent with who you are. And yeah, especially in the dating scene, I don't think it works very well. Again, Dan, who comes on here and trolls me sometimes, his friends spent, I think between them spent 200K with all these other influencers on top of what they pay me, trying to prove me wrong, basically. But it hasn't, I mean, I win either way. Either I get the intel that I should be doing things differently, or I get it confirmed that what I'm doing is the best. Well, everything can always be adopted and improved, right? Reiterated, because also society changes. But in general, so they spend a lot of money trying to, going for photo shoots, and I showed the photos, and they looked worse than the simple photos I took for their Instagram. So yeah, it doesn't have to be super elaborate. Also, whilst it's better to have it on a high quality camera, I've had clients who actually took them all on their cell phone, and it performed very well as when I tested it. So it's all about the framing, basically. And he wasn't claiming anything that wasn't true, right? It's just like, it wasn't faked in any way. So Luke says, like Will Smith in that movie Hitch, it still has to be about representing who we really are, not pretending to be a different person. Very well put. That's what I was trying to communicate with congruency. That video is really cringe. I haven't watched the film. I've seen some clips from it. Jack says, you must build a personal brand because I can't replace your personal brand. Very good point. I'll take that. I hadn't thought of that. For dating, it's essential. IG and TikTok are mandatory. Made choice. Preselection is never a biological fact. Yeah, if we want to talk about, so preselection is the evolution biological phenomenon that women basically see men as higher value if they are already surrounded by other beautiful women. They are in the presence of other women, especially beautiful women, then it will, it's called mate copying choice. theory. So yesterday, yeah, we actually had a few ladies at our table, and yeah, it's definitely because at the beginning of the evening when we were at the club, actually we were at the table our own in the beginning, and there's clearly a difference in how you're perceived by the other women once there's just two other women at your table and you're already partying with them, and they're giving you attention. So it's just a pretty. If you can also communicate that on your Instagram as well. Obviously, you don't want to come across as try-hard, or that it's convoluted, or that maybe you're just a complete player. That probably will turn off a lot of women. So you need to have it framed correctly, but it should be clear that you have access to a lot of interesting people, basically, also women. Monty says in his experience, he'd rather get the respect of the men first. Okay. Well, shame for both. I think Monty said passport bros for life. All right, thanks for the super chat there. I did read it out. I have a video telling passport bros not to come to the Baltic States. It's just not the area of the world that I think is the best fit for them. But yeah, as AI starts to get more and more involved in our daily lives, more authentic things that are not AI generated clearly are probably going to have more value. So, any last comments or questions? I'm impressed I did this live stream after what the shenanigans of yesterday. And yeah, this is, again, just to emphasize why I'm in the Baltic States. I think just a lot of opportunities here. It's not as well known. It's not oversold or overmarketed. And I find it pretty easy, maybe because the cities are smaller than Warsaw, to make connections, whether it's with guys, business, like the tech industry in Tallinn as well is pretty well developed. And obviously for the dating point of view, it's pretty phenomenal. But again, you have to be a guy of reasonable value. You can't, be slovenly, overweight, or obese or something. And yeah, I just expect some 20-year-old Latvian supermodel to be interested in you. We actually did have someone fitting the bill at our table briefly yesterday. I would put her in that category. So yeah, interesting. The ratio here of single women to men 20 to 35 years of age is second best from a single guy's point of view in Europe after London. And it's pretty similar for Vilnius and for Tallinn. Also Warsaw is actually in the top 5 as well there. And what was number 4? I think it was Lisbon. Yeah, Lisbon was number 4. Tallinn just didn't have enough data, but it will probably be in that top 5 and push Warsaw a little bit down. And then obesity, not a significant issue in general under the age 35 in this region. Over 35, it is a bit different when people get older. So that's already, phenomenal. There are 2 big reasons to be coming out here. And then the third one is, this is the part of the world with the most models per population. Number 1 is Estonia. Number 3 is Lithuania. Number 5 is Latvia. So yeah, it's just like this extreme model beauty at the very top end. You have the most of it here, the 9s and 10s per capita than anywhere else in the world. And they're more likely to be single, and the ratio is going to be playing. Well, when I say that they're more likely to be single, the ratio is going to be playing in your favor. And I guess if we talk about the socioeconomics, yeah, it's not as well developed as in Western Europe or North America. So that's also, women with hypergamy, they want to date across and up on socioeconomic hierarchies. In general, it's a cross-cultural phenomenon. So it's easier to achieve that if you're here as opposed to, say, the US or UK. Of course, you need to be the man with a plan, or I can be your man with a plan, and be able to make the connections and not be billing no mates, running around using a dating app, because that's really a pretty poor strategy in general. That era, I think the golden era of dating apps, it seems to be past us, and people are meeting more and more, especially the top end, the more and more beautiful people or high-value people they meet increasingly. If it's going to be online, it's actually going to be maybe Instagram even. Although, again, cold calling on Instagram is not great in terms of success from what I can see. Maybe I need a bigger data sample. I tested a few times, but it really solidifying an existing connection is really its value from what I can see. So, yeah, this region, it's, we have the war in Ukraine, Russo-Ukrainian war. There are obviously some guys who are going to come support Ukraine, as we have Jack there who's moving to Kyiv. But in general, I understand that that's not for most guys, because yeah, you have to also think if you're comfortable living with that situation. So in light of that, and then obviously going to Belarus or Russia is not something I encourage. So yeah, if you're looking at the other places to come to, I think the 3 Baltic states are pretty phenomenal. If you are an EU citizen, you can basically just move here. You don't have any, you have to register, that's about it. If you're from outside the European Union, then this is, with a real estate investment, a good option, because yeah, with 250,000 euros in principle and a few other things that if you want to go into the minutia, of course you can write me at Connor at connorklein.com, my email address down below, book a consulting call, or anyways, in any case, watch that video, that primer video I have. Let's see, maybe take the last questions. That's a good point, Jack, about the AI. I've forgotten that. In my experience, Monty says, I would rather get respect. Okay, for dating and life, how important is it to have a car there in the Baltics? Well, just use Bolt. I don't think you really need a car. I mean, if you live here, it depends what kind of lifestyle. I mean, that's kind of a broader question. If you're traveling here, I mean, there's Bolt, right? It's equivalent of Uber. I don't know if Uber works here as well. I just use Bolt. It's like a taxi app, basically. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of like anywhere else in the world. You can walk like most European cities. It's not like the US. That's the big difference. So that's all very walkable in the city center. I'm actually staying in the old town. Normally, I don't socialize in the old town, but I got a really nice apartment. I mean, it's badass, the apartment I'm in. So that's why I'm there. So I'm hanging out with those nice old world buildings around me. Not that I'm normally in a different part of the city where I actually socialize. And yeah, I don't need a car. I mean, I rent a car whenever I need one in the region. Jack says always grab her IG first, then she follows your, yeah, exactly. Luke says, yeah, failure to plan is planning to fail. We're still doing the New Europe experience when you get there would be a big adventure. He's got a big payday coming soon, and they'll be signing up for your service this summer. Great to hear it, Luke. We've already chatted about, yeah, the time frame and stuff like that, so just shoot me an email when you got that sorted. For everyone else, application form down below. And I recommend next weekend for Tallinn. It'll just be a pretty good weekend. And yeah, the summer season is open. It's going to be phenomenal. And an alumni event I am planning for later in the summer. We'll be in the Baltics. I need to start working on that. And otherwise, yeah, this is the best spot, I think, in Europe overall. And for these kind of weekend, the in-person immersion, where we go through setting up your business contacts for the region, that's important for a lot of guys who are coming here, especially for IT and tech in the Baltic states. Building up a social circle, obviously partying with the beautiful blondes, although there are a lot of beautiful brunettes as well last night. Yeah, for that kind of partying experience, it was off the charts yesterday in terms of beauty, I have to say, at the club we're at. So those are the things that I can help you, and also producing some content and auditing your Instagram so that you actually have that part of your personal branding sorted out and you can utilize that. So game changers, spending time here, because it's going to be an environment where there isn't much overweightness, obesity. People are healthier, at least under 35. Ratio of single women to men is the best you're ever going to see. It has the most models per population in the world. This is why it's the, if that's what you're looking for. If you're not looking for that, then this is not the spot for you. But yeah, and it's not overrun, because other than this channel, I don't think anyone else ever actually talks openly about it. But the socioeconomic situation is not desperate here. It's not like going to, I don't really want to pick on the Philippines, the poor Filipinos, but someone on an island in the Philippines, poor remote island. Yeah, you see a lot of the type of guys who go there, because socioeconomically, obviously, they can utilize that hypergamy and yeah, have a massive age gap or value gap, as it would otherwise be. But it is not like this here. So if you don't have any or very low value, it's not really going to be a spot that you're going to excel in. and it's also not super cheap, but it is better value than being in London or, being in the UK or the US, putting it that way. Okay, cool. Luke, let me take the final comment here. Our question, Mark says, can you talk more about visa and residency options for non-EU citizens? Yes, well, I will be making a video from Poland, and I will at least mention the lump sum tax option there. So, and you can also get a visa in Poland if you set up a business. It is a bit complicated. I only know one person who's done it. One of my clients wanted to do it, and he even paid the accountant to set up, and he never got his residency. So it was a lot harder than he anticipated. I have another client who's got a visa in Romania, so also part of the Schengen area. So for non-EU citizens, you will need to get residency, and then in principle, you got to spend half your time basically in that particular country. How that is monitored, it's probably only really an issue when you go to renew your visa after a certain number of years. And just thinking non-EU citizens, in the 3 Baltic states, this is the best option if you've got the cash to invest in real estate, because it's kind of straightforward, and you do have a pathway to citizenship ultimately. So EU citizenship, they've actually they're closing out the Italian citizenship by descent, making it a lot harder. I never had a client who was actually eligible, because there was also there are a lot of nuances in these laws with citizenship by descent. In theory, it went all the way back to the mid-19th century, but there was a point where it could only be in the paternal line, not the maternal line, so that precluded one of my clients. And German, it's only back 2 generations as well. You can go to 3 maybe under certain circumstances. Anyways, one of my other clients, he missed out by 1 generation. His parents were entitled to it. Same with Romania. I have another consulting client who, he's 1 generation away. Because his ancestors are partly from Romania. So in terms of getting residency and citizenship, you can look at somewhere within the European Union. Like I have a client who's got residency in Malta, and then he spends half his time there, and then he spends the other half coming to Poland and the Baltics, basically, from what I can see. We went together to Warsaw, it was like over a year ago. He actually had a very good Instagram. And it was the Instagram that was not shot with, just shot on his iPhone, all the photos. But it performed really well when I tested digital nomad visas. And there isn't something that is as easy as that. I'm helping a matchmaking service. Chuck says he's helping a matchmaking service in Ukraine as a life coach, life mindset, masculinity, dating coach. Okay. It's not who I think. Okay. Well, you can write me if you want to let me know who it is. Just shoot me a message. They haven't done the work and do not understand. Well, that's clear. But I did my interview with Yelena last week. But this is a different. Like one of my clients suggested I should make a video why most men can't handle dating 9s and 10s. That's a title to me. Because I'm going to these events and clubs with some of the most desirable women on the planet, and that's realistically for guys who are going to a matchmaker, they're probably struggling to get dates and understand women at a basic level. So is this really so relevant for them? I'm just thinking, one of my other clients, he was dating the models in New York after Leo DiCaprio had run through them when they got too old for Leo. So when they hit 26, 27. But here, at the time it was Kyiv. We actually went together to Odessa and to Minsk together. And then in the end, he moved to Kyiv. But in Kyiv, he was dating the 20-year-old version that hadn't bumped into Leo DiCaprio because he wasn't in Ukraine, basically. So I think dating 9s and 10s are actually easier. If you're... that's probably a nuanced discussion. Once you have the value to date them, I guess a lot of times it can be. Anyways, it seems like we'll have many things to chat about, Jack. Excellent. All right, I'm going to leave it there. It's already been an hour. And keep the comments if you're and questions coming if you're especially watching this on replay about which regions you're interested in. Whether Poland is of interest to the 3 Baltic states, or you still don't understand, even after today's presentation, why I'm telling you to come here, especially if you're a single guy of high value, then it seems to me a bit of a no-brainer when you look at those kind of stats and my lived experience here. Also for Tallinn next week, if you want to apply for the new Europe experience, obviously it's last minute, but I think this will be a phenomenal weekend in Tallinn. My client can come, the one who's with me. He was going to do the trio of Vilnius, Riga and Tallinn all in one trip, but he has a clash in his calendar, so he will leave tomorrow, go back to the US. So yeah, in any case, apply down below. There's the link there for the in-person immersion, and we'll have an unforgettable week, up to a week together in this region. So Josh said he's interested in coming to Riga. We've already highlighted in your particular case, Josh, why this would make sense. It's a competent must confirm again. They do not get approached. There was no. I mean, I guess I'm in an environment with guys who are definitely there to meet the 9s and 10s yesterday, because there were so many of them, and yeah, there were guys approaching them. There was a huge number of them. So yeah, but as I said, at one point we had, I think, one of the hottest women in the entire region, I would say. She's briefly at her table yesterday. All right, Jack. Stay safe as well on your way to Kyiv in December. And yeah, keep your questions coming. Drop a comment down below, in particular watching this on the replay. Other things about personal branding, whether you understand it, whether you see the value in it, whether you'd like me to develop a more inclusive or comprehensive service for it. If that's of interest for you, I think that's something that you would like. Again, what I'm doing at the moment is I audit my clients' Instagrams, and then on the in-person immersion I help with some of the content creation for that. But basically it's about setting up a system so that you're going to get it all put together pretty quickly. I think these other services that market that you can film all this amazing stuff and make you, but yeah, that makes you look like someone you're not, and it's inauthentic. That's just what I see. So I'm not a huge fan of that. But anyways, let me know what you think. Maybe you still want to come in and have that service provided. We can discuss getting lots of content. But again, I recommend that it's authentic, that it fits in, and it frames you. So Instagram, it's a business calling card. It's like a CV for dating, for socializing, building a social circle. It's really important, and if you overlook it, it's to your own detriment, in my opinion. With the caveat that I have some clients who just don't want anything in public because they feel it's too risky, because they're high profile and public figures. So that is something to consider if you are a major public figure. A minor public figure like me, obviously it's a bit different. So with that said, I'll end the live stream. I'm not sure if I'll have one next week or not. It wasn't really my plan to be doing this so regularly, but when I'm in Ukraine in particular, I want to film from obviously Lviv, and maybe when I'm back in Odessa as well, so that you can see what it's like on the ground. Yeah, another resource rather than relying all the time on what you see in the media, whether it's mainstream media or alternative media. And till next week, I'm going to enjoy having an absolute blast in the Baltic States in the meantime, and maybe could be you with me next weekend in Tallinn. Application form down below, or if you've already previously filled it out, or you're an alumnus, write me an email, connor@connorklein.com. Lots of interesting links in any case down below, and I will see you in the next video. Probably I'll have Connor's Law video edited up this week, so that should be the new one on the channel. So ciao ciao from Riga in Latvia.